Do you ever struggle with feeling left out? This is a tough one. It sucks and it hurts when we think we are being left out. Part of this is because of our human survival instinct to not be left out so that we can be a part of the clan, because we are communal beings, we are relational beings. And traditionally, we have needed to be a part of the clan in order to survive. We couldn't actually survive out in the wilderness on our own, and so we need to be connected to others. We cannot be left out or kicked out, or we will die. And even sometimes it can feel that way when we're feeling left out. It can be sort of this really big feeling of pain that comes up. And so I want to talk today about feeling left out and what to do with that, how to deal with that, how to get through that when that comes up for you. Because yes, part of it, like I said, is our survival instinct. Part of it might also be because there might be a history of abandonment or rejection or not feeling good enough and having that fear that people will stop loving you. If you're not always included, if you're not always invited, it means that the relationship is at risk, that maybe even your lovability is at risk. And so I want to talk about this one today and look at it a little bit more deeply and help you understand it a bit better and then sort through it a little bit more better. A little bit more better? Just a little better. If you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second and introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you're back, it is always good to have you. Either way, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my membership community, the Shift Society, that you can get more information about in the description below. That's where we are taking this work that I talk about here on this channel. We take it to a deeper level and really understand ourselves, and then be able to really have a work through with a step-by-step process the things, the thoughts, and the feelings and the stuff in our lives that we're struggling with that is holding us back in the most significant ways. You can get more information about the Shift Society in the description below. I help heart-centered humans break through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And feeling left out is a really big one that can hold us back and really get in our way. And I know, because I used to really struggle with this one and used to take things really personally if, I saw on social media that there were friends that were hanging out and I hadn't been invited, or I hear from a friend about something that they did with someone else or a couple other people and they hadn't called me. Or even if I would get invited to something at the last minute and wonder, how come I didn't get invited earlier? How come all these other people knew about it and I'm just hearing about it at the last minute? And then feel left out and start to think that it's because they didn't love me, they didn't care about me, I wasn't important. And it would kind of bring up all of this shame. And I would really turn against myself and feel really awful when this stuff would happen. And maybe you can relate to that's come up for you before as well. This seeing things and hearing about things and making it mean something about your value, worth, and lovability as a human being. And when we go there, when we interpret not always being included everything as a threat to our survival, to our relationships, to our worthiness, then it can feel really, really awful. So the day before this past Halloween, I was dropping my kids off at soccer practice as a girlfriend of mine was picking her kids up. And so we ran into each other and we started chatting. And she said, oh yeah, tomorrow's Halloween and we're doing kind of like a little drop-in. We're going to have like a little table set up in front of our house. We'll have drinks for the adults. We'll have treats for the kids. Come on by, just like, yeah, come on by and hang out for a little bit. And then our other friend who lives just down the street, they're having a little like front yard barbecue and they're having, kind of stuff there to kind of drop in. It's a whole thing, and come on by. And now the old me, the unmanaged mind me, would have been really happy at first and be like, oh, great, but then immediately started to feel terrible. And you know why? Because I would have told myself all kinds of stories about why they hadn't invited me sooner. my brain would have gone into like, oh my gosh, like they've been obviously planning this for a while. They didn't tell me about it. They didn't reach out to me. They didn't call me. They didn't text me. They didn't email me. That was so easy for them to do. We're good friends. Why wouldn't they do this? What did I say? What did I do last time we were hanging out? Why don't they like me? Why aren't they including me? Why am I not kind of in that inner circle and I'm the last to know? And my whole unmanaged mind would have made so much drama about this and would have left me feeling terrible. So that even if I did show up, I kind of would have gone there with a bit of like a sulky kind of attitude, like, you didn't invite me and I'm not important. And I guess I'm not as important to you as you are to me. And my brain would have made a whole dramatic thing about it. And it would just have been a whole big mess. And I would have spent a lot of time feeling terrible. This time was a completely different situation. This time I was like, great. This is awesome. I'm so glad I ran into her. I'm excited to go by. I haven't seen her for a few weeks. I haven't seen our other friend for a few weeks. I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to go and be a part of this. I'm so glad to be invited. And the reason why my brain wouldn't have gone into all that other drama is because I would have been able or was able to think more responsibly about the situation. They live in a bit of a different neighborhood. Their kids go to a different school. Their kids are friends and they have a whole neighborhood of people around them who are also friends their kids go to school with. That's their world right now. The moms or these women and I who are having these kind of events, we are still good friends, but this was family stuff. And so of course, their immediate thoughts were to go into making sure that the families that their kids know and that their kids are good friends with, that they go to school with, their community in their neighborhood that are kind of immediately in the vicinity, that they would know about it and that they would be kind of the sort of first people to be invited to it. And of course that makes sense. Of course that's reasonable. Of course, I'm not invited. I'm just not the first person to be thought of because I'm not in that immediate circumstance. I'm not in that kind of immediate circle. But that doesn't mean that my friends, my girlfriends don't still care about me or like me or value me as a person. It just wasn't top of their mind because of all the reasons that I said. And that is just sort of a reasonable, responsible, normal way of thinking about it that doesn't involve all of this drama and making myself think that I'm a reject and making myself feel terrible about it, which is completely unnecessary and just a bunch of made up crap anyways. So being able to take a step back and be able to say, okay, if I am being quote unquote left out, which chances are I'm probably not being intentionally left out, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But if I am being left out, or if, my brain is thinking I'm being left out, what else could be going on here? If I see friends on social media that got together and they didn't invite me, is it possible that they just happened to run into each other and make plans at the last minute? Is it possible that someone else who I'm not as good of friends with in that group, who these other friends might be better friends with, was the one who was doing the inviting? And so they invited those people. And because I'm not as good of friends with the inviter, that I wasn't top of mind for them. Is it possible that maybe sometimes people just want to do things with each other and don't want to make a whole big group thing about it? They don't always invite everyone. Is it true for me that I don't always invite everyone that I know to everything? Is it true for me that sometimes I just want, to invite one particular person or maybe two people that I have a good kind of dynamic together with that maybe I haven't seen for a while? Is it possible that I do that sometimes and it doesn't mean that I don't love or care about or even value the people that I didn't invite? So being able to think about that for ourselves, being able to look at it, kind of being able to take a step back and look at what are some other possibilities about what's going on here that don't involve me being, a total loser and reject that nobody likes. Chances are, if the last time you got together with those people that you think you're being left out by, or that person that you think you're being left out by, chances are if the last time you hung out together, you had a good time and, you felt connected and everything was going well, chances are that they are not intentionally not wanting you there. There is a difference between sometimes just wanting to be around certain people and not wanting to be around someone else. Do you see that? How sometimes we're just like, yeah, I just really want to hang out with these people. That doesn't mean it's because I adamantly do not want to hang out with this other person. I just want to be around these people right now. And then sometimes I want to be around that person and just that person, or just someone, that person and a couple other people in that group dynamic, or whatever that is. So being able to take a step back and think more responsibly. And again, this is what we do in the Shift Society. It's not about positive thinking. It's not about like, it's all good and there are never any problems in life and all I need to do is just look on the bright side. It's not about that. What I teach is responsible thinking. Being able to take a step back and getting out of kind of our drama brain that's creating all kinds of drama that's leaving us feeling terrible most of the time, and thinking more reasonably and responsibly about other options that are happening that, again, don't leave us feeling like crap. So being able to think about that. Am I actually intentionally being left out? Or is there likely just something going on here that I don't need to make a big deal about, that I don't need to get all up in my own drama about, and can just sort through, work through, and move forward through? Now, that said, if you do find that you are often not being included in things, and you don't think that it's just kind of like a coincidence, you're like, I think there's something else going on here, then I'm going to be brutally honest with you, and I'm going to invite you to just take a step back and reflect on how you're showing up in your relationships. And I want you to be honest with yourself. This isn't about blaming yourself or judging yourself or feeling terrible about yourself, but this is about just being able to say, okay, when I am showing up, am I bringing a bunch of kind of heavy stuff? Am I complaining a lot? Am I bad-mouthing people a lot? Am I gossiping a lot? Am I focusing on all of the kind of terrible things that are going on in the world? Am I being a Debbie or Dawn Downer? Right? What am I bringing to this space? And the truth is that, yeah, usually we want to be around friends because it feels good, because we have a good time together, because it's fun, because we feel connected. And it doesn't mean that you have to be happy and positive and everything is like lovely and roses all the time in all of your relationships in order to have relationships. That's not true. Of course, there is a level of emotional intimacy that comes with close relationships where we can talk about things, where we can, work through things, where we can, get into more serious stuff. But if we're bringing the heavy, we're bringing the downer, we're bringing the kind of like that energy, that sort of stressed, anxious, irritable energy with us, then is it completely unreasonable that other people would be like, that person brings a lot with them and I'm just kind of not wanting that right now. I kind of want things to feel a little lighter, a little bit easier, a little happier. Is it unreasonable for them to say, you know what? I just, need to just sort of maybe hang out with them another time and just do something with these people where they are more like that. Is that completely unreasonable? Do you want to, if we just sort of bring it back to ourselves, do you want to always hang out with people who are bringing that kind of energy into the space, who are, again, like critical and complaining and negative and, raging, or just like, finding things to get upset about, or whatever that is? Do you want that with you all the time? You might be like sometimes like, yeah, this person's going through something hard and I want to be there for them and I want to listen to them, but you may not want that all the time. And is that unreasonable for other people to not want that either? Also, too, if you're someone who tends to be a little bit more rigid, where you have a harder time going with the flow, where you kind of want things a very specific way and you kind of tell everyone that you want it to be this way and maybe even expect other people to go along with what you want and kind of don't really hear them out or listen to what they want and are willing to be kind of, go with the flow and work with the group and more flexible. Now, there might be some friendships that are totally fine with that and be like, yep, you can dominate. I'll just follow along and I'm good with that. I don't like making decisions. I don't like having to come up with ideas. So great, you just dominate. But there might be times where people are like, yeah, you know what? Like when so-and-so comes along, we always end up doing what they want. And I just sometimes feel like my voice isn't heard, or, what I want doesn't count or matter or is considered. So maybe let's not invite them this time because all of us want to do this. And this person might come in and not want to do that, and then we'll all have to change it. Is that unreasonable? I don't want you to take this and turn against yourself and be like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible, complaining, critical, horrible, rigid person, and like turn it against yourself, because that also is not going to be super helpful for our cause. If you're going to take this and turn this and turn it against yourself, and then, kind of sit and feel terrible about yourself. Again, taking this information responsibly and being able to reflect on it. Not ruminate on it, not sit there and scrutinize every single thing that comes out of your mouth all the time to make sure that everything that you say when you're with anyone is perfect and pleasing and lovely and that people are going to like and enjoy and feel good about. You don't have to do that. So watch that as well. That's also not responsible to just sort of let your brain go wild, ruminating on and analyzing everything all the time, because that's also going to leave you feeling pretty terrible and prevent you from feeling connected, because you're just going to be analyzing and scrutinizing instead of actually just being authentic and connecting. But just taking a second and being like, okay, would I want to hang out with someone like me? Would I want to include someone like me? And I can tell you from my own experience, I had to do this with myself a lot, because I realized that what I was bringing wasn't always all that lovely, right? Where I would think, well, this is important to me, or this is what I want to talk about, or this is what I want to get into, or this is what I want to do. And then I'd kind of get put off if other people didn't want to. And then I'd be a little bit kind of visibly put off and prickly because I was dealing with my own drama and my own brain. And it was just not super pleasant. And so I was like, okay, would I want to hang out with me? Would I want to spend time with me? Now, I'm not saying again that I'm not all for like honesty and talking about hard things and having deeper conversations, but you can feel the difference, between someone who's just like, you're having an open and honest conversation with someone, you're looking at something more deeply, you're talking about something more personal, versus someone that's coming and kind of like dumping all their problems, or just like complaining or being overly critical, or, you know what I mean? Someone who's just bringing this energy into the space that you're just like, yeah, I just not always in the mood for that. Is that unreasonable? So taking a minute, asking yourself, what am I bringing? How would I feel if somebody else was bringing that? Would I maybe not want that person around all the time? So is it completely unreasonable that they might not? And if that is the case, then what do I want to be bringing? How do I want to be showing up? And again, different friendships are going to be available for different things. Some friendships might only be available for lovely, light, and easy. Some friendships might be available for more difficult and, being there to be supportive, and us being supportive of them when they're going through harder things, that they don't always have to be happy. But again, that difference between being like happy all the time and being really just like down and kind of negative all the time, you can bring how you're feeling into a space authentically without having to pretend to be happy, but you can bring it in without putting it on other people. You can say like, hey, having a bit of a tough time today, need a little extra support, need a little extra love. Maybe if we have time, can we talk about this? I just need kind of a listening ear. And being able to ask for that, right? Instead of just sort of dumping in front of someone and being like, okay, so now what? What are you going to do about what I just dumped at your feet? Not always that lovely. So when it comes to being left out, taking a second, being honest with yourself. If typically these relationships are great and we have a good time and we're close and there's trust there and there's like this mutual care and respect for each other and a mutual love for each other, then if this person hasn't invited me to this particular thing, then chances are it's not because they secretly hate me and never want to spend time with me again. And again, if you notice a bit of a pattern, honestly, just taking a step back and being like, would I want to hang out with someone like me all the time? What am I bringing to the space? What am I offering to these relationships that's making it nice to connect with? And just being honest with yourself about it. Again, not beating yourself up about it, just taking a second, reflecting about it. Being emotionally mature about it and being able to decide, okay, are there some adjustments that I may want to make? Doing this deeper work, figuring out what's going on with us. If you are struggling and do need that extra support to work through it, come and join us in the Shift Society. This is the deeper work we do there. If you've been struggling and just haven't been feeling great. And you're like, I am bringing a lot of stuff to my relationships and I don't want to do that, but I just don't know how to deal with this stuff. I don't know how to work it out. I'm feeling really crappy and I don't know what to do about it. And I want to feel better. I want to live better, want to have better, then come and join us in the Shift Society. The information about that to get on the wait list, you have to get on the wait list, is right down in the description below. Let me know your thoughts. Would love to hear from you about this one, about being left out. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, hit the like button. Helps with getting this video in front of more people so more people can have access to these free tools. It's always good to have you here. Until next time, take good care.